From wagons to wagoneers. I couldn't get a recording to work and anything else, so I'm having to do it from my phone. But if you can see it, it's really all that matters. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. So in 1885, a German man, Carl Benz, made the first horseless carriage and patented it. And that led to the idea of other motor companies such as Ford, Buick, and GM. GM was originally sort of a branch off of Buick, but they bought Buick, and then they also later bought other companies such as Pontiac, GMC, Chevy, and etc. Um, but Buick was founded in May of 1903, just a month before Ford was founded in June of 1903. And Ford was the, I guess you could say, competition of Buick. And fast forward 5 years later is when GM was founded and bought Buick. These are the pictures of some of the first vehicles. The bottom one is one of the first horseless carriages. You can see how it kind of looks more like a carriage than the top, which is a Ford Model T pickup. A continued history slide. The changes over time of the automobile were very, very great. They went from just being something you could have just to kind of brag about being rich to something that was actually seen as a luxury, and they just got more comfortable and more widely used over time to travel, not just throughout your city, but from city to city, from state to state, and it just carried on from there. Um, and cars also brought what we know now as rallying, which is a sort of off-road racing, except it's only on like dirt roads and it's cross country on county roads, similar to Le Mans, but that is on pavement. Now engines, we'll go a little more in depth here. They are the backbone of the vehicle. If it weren't for the engines, they wouldn't be able to run. The engines are composed of many mechanical parts that are used to make the tires spin, and that are used for electricity and AC and your radio, because the engine has a battery, and then the alternator, which is connected to the battery, sort of, it spins, and that makes a constant electric charge to keep the vehicle uh, flowing with electricity for like the radio, your gauges, so the battery won't die. And the engines are made to last a long time, so they can take you places uh, out of state or just away from home that you need to get to, and it's very helpful. And on the left here, we have a 427 big block, which was used in most cars in the 60s and 70s, and as well as the early 80s. These cars were used to travel for like families, so they're in like coupes or something that Ford would make. And then on the right here, you have a straight six, an inline six, which is sort of like a V6, but it's not considered a V6. But it was in smaller things like Jeeps. Like this one right here is from a 1983 Jeep Scrambler, and it was just sort of used to like just play around with, like off-road, and every now and then just kind of as a toy. Now, one of the major impacts of the automotive industry are 18-wheelers, and 18-wheelers are used to travel across the country to deliver us goods such as food, clothes, and it could be anything for like TVs or video games or anything that you want that would be delivered to you, such as like Amazon, that has to get here by plane, and then it's loaded onto a truck and then sent to an Amazon warehouse where it is then picked up by the Amazon delivery trucks. And all 18 wheelers have different uses because they're all different sizes, so they're used to haul different things. Like this blue truck up here in the top right is used for cross country hauling with trailers. So, like frozen foods and just things that could be loaded up onto a box trailer like that. And this one below it, the one with the dumper trailer, that's used for construction work more like, so hauling dirt, gravel, sand, you name it. And on the bottom here, this truck is being used to hold grain from a farm. It looks like wheat, and it's going to take that to a silo to be processed. Now, one modern day controversy is how gas engines affect us and the environment around us, and how gas can just ruin it. It kills off the atmosphere, makes it weaker, and it just poisons it. Now, this is true to a fault, but going full electric is one solution that is sought for solving global warming. But when you think about the lithium mines in, say, India, you have to think about the conditions there and how it'd be preferable to people suffering, for young and old, to just over time and environment suffering, to something you just have to deal with in the future. In conclusion, um, it's not just the United States, but it is the entire world that is affected by cars. Europe, England, the United States, Mexico. If it weren't for cars, they wouldn't be able to sustain the population we have today. And here you see the cars, sort of a timeline, except it doesn't have any years, but from left to right, it's every 10 years. So this one right here, this little carriage one, is going to be like 1910, that's 1920, 1930, 1940, 1950, and on and on and on, and up all the way up to 2023. And this is my works cited. Thank you for listening to my presentation. I hope my information about the history of cars and how they've affected us helped understand what I was going for, and how without them we wouldn't be able to sustain the life today with the millions of people in our country and the billions of people in the world. How without cars we just wouldn't be able to last. Thank you.